The silence in this part of the church, it's almost palpable. All the shifting matter and shuffling of living things is gone. Nothing seems to exist beyond the church anymore. Maybe if you were to stand in just the right spot, even your footsteps would be completely silent. And then it's gone. Almost all of it. But for the faintest of hums, you can hardly hear your own breathing. Your voice is barely audible. Not a howl, but the softest of whimpers. It's unnerving. You produce a few muffled thumps, after which the silence feels even more total, somehow. The lieutenant points to his ears and shakes his head. Then he leans closer.
Can you hear anything? I wonder why the church was built with such strange acoustics.
His detached tone conceals how uncomfortable he is. The lieutenant doesn't reply, but you can sense him tense up next to you. The orderly rows of ceiling panels become barely visible, then disappear completely in the darkness of the tower overhead. Just darkness without end. It makes your head spin. Filled with vague shapes of woodwork, the sense of a great height. It's like you see your own face reflected back at you in a vanishing geometry. A strange, alien image that's supposed to be you. There's nothing. You're dizzy and disoriented.
Officer, what are you looking at?
You see something hanging from the rafters, looking straight at you with dark eyes. Maybe it's possible to talk to it. Is that a man? Looks more like part of the carpentry of the building came alive and is now studying you intently. The Crab Man. The man leaned forward a little, fixing you with a steady, unreadable gaze, then speaks.
Habitual alcohol use has made you into a scared little pussy, Holmes. But don't worry, everything's gonna be all right. You come to the right place. Here you can receive the mother's love. And when you're ready, she will take your hand and lift you out of the despair at the bottom of that bottle.
This man is obviously a habitual narcotics user. Do we really need to question him?
I'm put off by this religious stuff, he thinks. And maybe the ceiling climbing, too. It's all very hard to square with the lieutenant's own view of reality. Hey, and what was that about the bottle again? You haven't even drank that much lately. Lay off it already. Shish.
Oh yeah, sure. You don't know anything about alcohol use. You got it all under control, Way. I could smell the control all the way over here. I know it's hard to admit that you got a problem. I was like you once. Couldn't take an honest look into my own heart and see I was in pain.
You know, actually, since we're here, You may want to pay attention to what the ceiling climber is saying.
Look at these crazies. What is this shit?
It doesn't matter who I am, Way. I'm just bringing you the message of the mother's love. She don't want you to hang yourself on your own stubbornness. This is the Church of the Mother of Silence. You are welcome here.
This Mother of Silence sounds like a serious player. You might want to be careful until you find out what you're dealing with.
¿Other spooker? Oh, esa viejita es muy estudiosa. Don't know, Holmes? No. I just call her viejita because of her clothes. She's actually quite young. Or maybe not that young. Age is just one of the many masks we wear. That's what I said, Holmes. Don't really follow her comings and goings. Just see her typing on her computer now and then. We got different interests. I'm afraid not, Essay. You just have to wait until she comes back, or
search through her radio computer.
Never known myself to be a crab. But if that's the name you got for me, I won't stop you from using it. I always thought of myself more like a flame, flickering along the rafters and beams. It may be that I gotta work on my technique. I was in a gangway, but my memories of that time are fading. Most of them are already gone. That's not really the point, I say. You gotta give yourself over to service. Service of the mother, that is.
Do you remember your name, sir?
The lieutenant is not particularly interested in this information. He's just trying to assert some control over the conversation.
Tiago's my name, but those syllables don't mean much to me these days. A name isn't just your identity, but also, so to speak, your place amongst your fellows, your place in the world. I ain't got no use for such a place anymore. That's not quite right, but you're getting somewhere. Any one of us could have been anything else. We are all one who sing the mother's glory. This is a special place. There's a perforation in the world up there, a way out into nothingness. This church was built around it for purposes of veneration. I circled it, nurtured by the silence bestowed by the mother. One of these days, I'll be pure enough to go drink from it directly. I will be incinerated, but not destroyed. Finally, I won with the state of the world before reality began. Oh, that's no simple question, I said. She is one who can be painted or sculpted. She is a cavity in the dark beyond sense. She saved me, but I couldn't describe her to you. No one can, Holmes, and no one ever will. It's not like that at all, man. It's just faith and joyful service. I heard that before, Way, and I know I can't convince you on the spot. But think, when's the last time you woke up from silent communion with a hangover, regretting what you did last night?
There are drugs darker than alcohol circling your system.
She took you for a good spin, huh? Don't worry, bro. That love is but a drop compared to the ocean of the mother's love. The mother will eat all of you and never spit you out. I can see, and it saddens me, but devotion can save you. It's no worries, man. I know this shit takes time. I'm a seraph, Holmes. I sing the mother's glory. I ain't from no Marietti, if that's what you're thinking. And the song I sing is silent as the mother. Hard to say, I think I did some construction work here, back when I still had material worries. Up there, I realized what the true purpose of the church was. Been spending a lot of time here ever since. The past is nothing to me now, way. It didn't belong to me.
The sinewy figure lingers on the wooden beams, blending into the shadows.
Police raid a while back.
Did you witness it?
Not really, or at least I don't remember much of it anymore. The mother's love has done its job. That's what's so great about the mother. It lets you forget about everything. The ones in the tent outside, right? I see them, guessing they're the ones who call me a crab. Probably scared of me. Wouldn't bother me none to have them spin music in here. I'm usually way up there, imbibing. Might even be nice to have some company.
He said that in spite of himself. He's more attached to the human than he'd like to think. Wow, you work hard. Oh, yes, you hustle. You're a provider. It's tough out there, but you keep it real and provide. Oh yeah, like a horse, a workhorse, for hard work. Look at yourself. You're a human pedometer. You must have walked 200,000 steps down cracked asphalt, mosaic, sand, and linoleum after you re-emerged. That is the sign of a hustler who never gives up. The world is harsh and people are evil. You didn't make it that way, and you won't let it break you. You ride. That's just what it's like, life and death. But you got gills on your side, baby. Got those black papers with the faces of the innocents on them. You bring in the Franco-Negros and the Solas. It ain't easy, but you do it. Day in and day out. You didn't make the rules, but you won't lose. You're a cop and a sprinter and a money printer. Oh yeah, you took that bribe hard. You're a killer. You didn't log that in as a donation either. You don't log any of that shit in. You're a straight rider. Yeah, you're in the sales business. Shake 'em for shit and then pawn it off. Law officer style. Sure. And has it been easy? Is life easy? Have you not gone into cardiac arrest? Are you rich? Get out of here. You're a pauper. You work harder than anyone. Almost rode yourself to the grave, and you're still practically a hobo. Why is that? Look, the immigrants are cool. The immigrants play cool music. Everyone likes them, especially the women. Don't hate on the immigrants. They've got nothing to do with you living under a boat. That's right, 100%. Fucking G-Man's got his jam-covered sticky fingers in your pocket, stealing from you every time you buy, sell, walk, talk, fart, so much as sneeze. Every time you wipe your ass, they got their direct and their indirect modes of taxation. Sales tax, excise duty, extraction tax, alimony, one tax that doesn't even have a name. Plus there's the stuff people in other countries pay for. That makes them ask for more money from you. Here, total tax duties add up to 98% of all your money. Here you go, hustler. Fight the righteous fight. Free the people. Keep it real. Keep it street. Keep foaming at the mouth furiously on the tax issue. A machine stands in the corner, watched over by the figures on the stained glass window. It's turned on and quivering with soft electricity.
Another radio computer. And this time it's already turned on.
These machines sometimes harbor traps, he thinks. Alarm systems and the like. Let's be careful.
We should leave. I doubt this place bears any connection to the case. It's also quite similar to the one we have down at the station. Must be the same model.
The one you saw earlier was the Ream Civic. This is the Ream Prefect, a model number RC7024, equipped with a Feld mainframe and a Ream-compatible interim printer. You see fluorescent play and print buttons on the keyboard. A hatch connected to the central compartment is wide open. The lieutenant says nothing. You see the machine's glowing frame reflected back from his diamond-shaped glasses. You're free to proceed. Behind the hatch sits a cube-like crisscross of filaments, smoldering in the dark like fireflies. Silver tape on the side says, in black marker, log, February to March. Another filament memory. Press play to talk with the repeater. The speaker comes to life. Static seeps through the machine's planar magnetic driver. An old lady greets you. Her voice sounds 100 years old.
Good evening. Votre accident on Saint-Brun. This is the East Insulindian Repeater Station 1. Please repeat. Is this the personal log?
It's the same old woman you spoke with through the radio computer in the doomed commercial area.
Good, thank you. Please repeat. Is this the personal log? I have 2 machines registered to this.
Saint-Brun. That's the church. And
Anything else I can help you with? Good. Please repeat the password.
let's look around. There's no use trying to guess the answer. Maybe he knows something.
Received. Votre accident. Is there any sleep?
The machine's keyboard is
Oh, hey, wait. There's coffee in the back. Oh, wait. I meant the mother's love. Too many times, essay. You need it for something.
no need to overdo it. He won't mind sharing it with you. The lieutenant raises his eyebrow, but doesn't say anything.
Don't sweat it, vato. The password is afterlife death.
That is true. But what comes after death?
What you think of that? Makes me almost pity la niñita pequeña when I hear it. I think we're done here, essay.
That was an interesting conversation. However, I'm still not sure how it's...
The machine's keyboard is still illuminated, revealing fluorescent play and print buttons. The speaker comes to life. Static seeps through the machine's planar magnetic driver. An old lady greets you. Her voice sounds 100 years old.
Good evening. Votre accident on Saint-Brun. This is the East Insulindian Repeater Station 1. Please repeat. Is this the personal log? Good. Please repeat the password. Good. I have unlocked the filament. After ending the call, please votre sprint to access the filament. Votre accident. Is there anything else I can do for you today? Sleep well, votre accident.
The machine's keyboard is still illuminated, revealing fluorescent play and print buttons. The printer prints out a long text document with dated paragraphs. It looks a bit like someone's journal. The machine's keyboard, the first entry made on the 4th of February, 51 by an unknown author, is short and concise. Arrived at the church, the door was boarded up, so I used the crowbar to get inside. Looks like the place has been deserted. Nothing out of the ordinary, but I'll ask around. Need to figure out how to get the electricity in. The lieutenant leans closer, scouring the printout over your shoulder. Just as you finish reading, he looks up, muttering under his breath.
4th of February. That's over a month ago. Whoever set up those machines has been here for quite a while. Our case? No, I don't think so. It must be some local eccentric.
6th of February, 51. Had a little chat with the local fishermen. Said I shouldn't go near that place. See? Even one of the spookers themselves says it's unnerving. What was that about narcotics? This could prove to be interesting.
I doubt that we can find any. It's just idle fishermen's gossip to scare away the kids. Nothing spooky about this place either. It's just abandoned and cold, and in an awful part of town.
7th of February, 51. Finally got the electricity in. Next on the agenda, a new antenna. I'm thinking ESCA series, something advanced.
Why would anyone need any of this equipment here?
8th of February, 51. Bought the antenna, had some problems setting it up. Called Simon for help. Heard the others are back to making art. Drinking somewhere out of town. Sulislav started a rock band again. Lexi has been seen asking money from strangers. But at least the artists have their act together. They're qualified labor. They can get work anywhere. Graphic design, ads. The programmers are doing fine too. I mean, they're programmers. The writers, though, they're fucked. I just have to find out what caused that data loss and be done with it. Still don't understand how it managed to wipe out the backup, when the backup wasn't even connected to the front. I know. Everyone thinks it's impossible. They say I must be lying. I'm here to set it right.
Seems like something to do with radio computers. Unfortunately, I don't know enough about them to understand what the author is saying. Something about the backup data getting destroyed, and how everyone thought it was the author's fault. Let's just keep reading. I think these people worked in the radio computer games business, the one we saw in the Doom commercial area. They must be our former co-workers.
12th of February, 51. Brought some food from the grocery store. Apparently, there's a strike going on in the harbor. Definitely not happy to see the Martinez people again. Everything's now set up in the church. Going to start working tomorrow, 8 a.m.
The strike. We are nearing the date of the murder. Keep reading. I'm interested now. I want to know what's that radio anomaly that sent this person here in the first place.
25th of February, 51. I've been sending data up to Lintel for a while now, trying to recreate the data loss, but nothing. Didn't even feel like logging in, the disappointment. But I did discover a curious audio-spatial anomaly at the back of the church. I've named it the Swallow. It swallows sound. Need to get some mics.
Is she talking about?
28th of February, 51. Yes, the first recordings confirm that the swallow is real and I'm not just losing my mind. It's a pillar of silence with a diameter of approximately 3 meters. Seems like the higher I go, the less I record. This might be a coincidence, or it could be connected to the data loss that led me here.
The pillar of silence. She is talking about the silence. Is she suggesting it's more than just an architectural quirk?
The lieutenant doesn't answer. He follows your gaze, studying the basins. The water shines in them. No ripples. March 51. Some kind of young disco men have appeared next to the church. I've been trying to record the silence to find the epicenter, but now it turns out I've also been capturing the future of dance music, one neo-disco song over and over again. Fortunately, the song is so monotonous, I was able to devise an algorithm to factor it out. The other day, one of the disco men came in. Before I could even say hello, she got scared and left. Good, I don't want anyone distracting me from my work.
The girl on the ice? Sounds like her, yes.
March 51. I got a call from the repeater station. Someone has tried to access the radio computer in our old office in Martinez. Can't do anything about it. The storekeeper still doesn't want to let me inside the building. Thinks I'm part of some kind of curse. How Martinez of her.
I knew it wasn't a good idea to meddle with that machine.
No. It was a great idea. You're learning things. This is how you learn things about machines. March 51. A new 2-meter aux cable. Noodles. Crackers. Ping energy drinks. Water. Toothpaste. Gum. Also some canned air. Your reading is interrupted by the sound of the church door opening. A strange woman makes straight for the radio computer.
Breaking into my radio computer, I see.
Yes, you are breaking in, but not into her radio computer. You're a master circuit bender.
I do apologize for the intrusion, madame. We are with the RCM, you see.
There are no coalition military data links. And even if there was, you couldn't access them over a civilian network. That's nonsense. You're just a police officer. Now please give me some room. I need 2 seconds to see that you haven't destroyed anything.
We should talk to her after she has rebooted the machine.
What is it? Yes. Or no. Not anymore. That project is dead.
She doesn't seem surprised to be recognized. Rather sad. Something passes over her face before she straightens her back.
No, you just printed out my personal log and wasted some paper.
In white, silver, and apricot faience, the young mother of humanism stands above you. A crack runs across her body. She is impossibly tall, oval-faced and sad. A dark and radiant majesty. This is her innocence, Dolores Day. Cradled in her arms are a pair of glowing lungs, clearly visible from underneath her flowing dress. You should kneel. Cold wind seeps in from the crack in the glass. Snowdrifts cover the floorboards at your feet. Above, you feel her multicolored eyes on you, inspecting you, as if under a microscope. The woman looks down at you standing there. She towers among her followers, architects, laymen, courtiers. There is a sad smile on her lips and a glint in her green-blue eye. Of what? Compassion? Remorse? As that great and desperate thought passes through your mind, the lieutenant draws an X-shaped cross from shoulder to shoulder. Your fingertips touch your chest 4 times as you stand in the apricot-colored light of the window. Above you, the woman still smiles, her distant smile, sundered by the crack in the glass. Despite the damage you've done to yourself, the title appears lodged in your hippocampus. This is Her Innocence, Dolores Day, the innocence of humanism. If no amount of Commodore Red can wipe her sad smile from your brain thing, it has survived the deluge and haunts you still, and will haunt you forever, as it haunts all men. The highest category of historic individual, an embodiment of the world spirit. More, an innocence is elected to office by the founding party, a precedent that has taken place a mere 6 times in the entirety of history. The legal system of the Real Belt is built to accommodate an authentic rule should it coincide with our time. An innocence is infallible. The decisions made by one are not decisions. They are inevitabilities. What would have happened anyway? Only accelerated, packed into decades instead of centuries. An innocence is a continuous, compressed event, a sacred human being. It is an honor and a glory to live when one is in office. No, we are alone. 300 years ago, in the wake of the discovery of this Isola, the Insulindian, by explorers from the continent of Muindi, she is, among other things, the innocence of inter-isolary travel and the connected world. Many things, you know she was a woman of the court, the wife of an influential Marchese, and eventually the principal advisor to Irene La Navigateur, Queen of Suresnes, modern-day Sir La Clé. Also that she was gorgeous beyond beauty, draped in ancient sadness. Are you sure you want to remember this bit of history?
Yes! Big bummer! Boring history! Gotta keep it light, man! Keep it moving! Get...
The past. It's a silo of sadness, fermenting. You should keep away.
Fuck this pain, Bratan! It's unhealthy!
Terribly, women of the court were expected to play both contract bridge and chess sufficiently well to prove an interesting challenge to a man. A simple grasp in matters of philosophy, theology, and science was encouraged. She was, by all means, a kept woman. She made the most of her position in the antediluvian court, a court visited by the most prominent thinkers and artists of the day. She was an almost preternaturally magnetic and intelligent individual. To her contemporaries, she appeared out of time, a messenger from the future of the species. It was on her advice that Irene La Navigateur sponsored a number of voyages into the Pale. A costly, often tragic endeavor. She was crowned 2 years after the first expedition returned, setting in motion what is widely considered the greatest era in history. The DeLorean era. Okay, when her innocence was declared, and the queen she had advised for years fell on her knees before her, she was so overcome with emotion that her lungs started glowing in her chest. Bystanders reported golden filaments lighting the already sunlit chamber around her, clearly visible beneath her dress. I repeat, her lungs started glowing. Do you care now? As did we all. The lands of the Mesk and the Occident, and even far away Supramuindi, altogether 21 of the 40 mundial nations of the time. Immediately in a city called Advesperaskit in Vespa Messina, her homeland, the name of the city means evening. She was dressed in a white and pearl dress on an emptied-out plaza. Oh, she was insultingly beautiful. She was human. Midwinter snow was beating the cobblestones around her. A small attaché of official, one of the men in this secret service, killed her 22 years later. A young man who had come to suspect that Dolores Day was not entirely human, but something else. Something that had walked in our midst, watching us stumble for hundreds, if not thousands of years, until it decided to interfere. Dolores Day was shot in the chest with a fowling piece 8 times. The man, thought to be insane, said he once touched her and her body had been unnaturally warm, like a furnace, and that sometimes, while on duty, he observed her forgetting to breathe for over 10 minutes. This inhuman quality was witnessed by many others as well, glowing lungs and all. It is commonly attributed to mass hysteria. Terrifying is a term too emotionally charged. Terrifying. It's a simple word. She was bad for humanity, and you shouldn't have started thinking about her. You already do. Although she is often considered to be the greatest human, she was the most socially secluded and least self-aware of all the innocences. Some modern thinkers would consider her a walk. The Mesk state tried to detach itself from innocentic rule. Parts of the world were experiencing whiplash from accelerating into. She adored chess, yes, but also military war games. Dolores Day often holds a tiny tin soldier between her. Little is known of her Marchese husband. It's as if he vanished from history after completing his role, which was to introduce.
Officer, you've stood there for over 5 minutes. What are you thinking of, if I may ask? Okay. It's just that you've been looking at that window for quite long now. And it's cold in here. This church, the coast in general. We shouldn't.
An imperceptible tinge of fear. The lieutenant is afraid of the church. He does not know why, but he is.
The old woman in the village was right. This must be the DeLorean Church of Humanity in Martinez, or the small Pinewood Church in some records. It's a minor landmark, not easy to find. Most maps misplace it. It was built not long after Ravachol's founding, 300 or so years ago, by first-generation settlers. There used to be 7 stave churches on the coast. Les Sept Sœurs, they call them, the 7 sisters. Only one remained. We should be respectful here, although the building appears to be deserted. I do not believe we'll find anything connected to the lynching.
A pang of guilt. The lieutenant is leaving something out.
I have a theory, yes. There was a police raid a while back. I heard the place was shot to pieces. The old woman in the village was being tactful with us when she didn't mention it. She has more respect for the RCM than many around here. Well, your station was involved, I hear. Although I can't be sure. 3 precincts were involved in the raid, and people say Precinct 41 was one of them. I'm sorry, I'm not saying you were. It was a clandestine operation. I don't know anything about it, why it was conducted, or who participated. I try not to pry into extra-district matters. Good luck. You will not get information on a confidential operation from your station secretary just by... It happened a while ago. It's unimportant to our business in Martinez now.
The mother of humanism stands above you, a precious and complex wax painting. On a single pane, the shards glimmer in the dark.
Yes? Yes? Yes?
Because you're the best qualified. No, that doesn't seem right. If you're so well qualified, why can't you remember why you were sent? Anyway, don't keep the lieutenant waiting.
Yes. What is it? I am Soona Luukkanen-Kilde, the former lead programmer of Fortress Accident and RSA radios. If you're not here to hire me, I don't really know how I can help you. Nope. Yes. And? No, you're right. I'm not. I brought them here. These are my machines. Please don't touch anything. I use the AR-1 as my RAIN prefix processing unit. Mm-hmm. Yes? You really don't know anything about radio computers, do you? All right. Well, all radio computers perform operations up on air. So in order to gain more processing power, you need to invest in a good antenna. I guess it is. So far I've been quite satisfied with it. Martinez is an unstable region with bad coverage and the operation has been surprisingly stable. But it's not the cheapest one on the market. So I wouldn't recommend it for your regular red tape operations. Fraser 1000... Anyway, you should do some research before you decide to buy anything.
She liked telling you this. It calmed her nerves.
They are connected to my RAIN prefect. Whatever you do, just please don't move them, okay? Thanks. I'm working. Could you just shh for a moment? Or get to the point. I really need to focus on something. Great. You really like those questions, don't you? I'm conducting scientific research here. You can't throw me out. I'm looking for the location of a 2mm hole in the world.
She's looking for a disruption in the radio waves. That's what her personal log said. The lieutenant raises his brows, but doesn't say anything.
Yes, that's what led me here. But I suspect it might be something a bit more complicated than that. Exactly. What does it mean? Up to now, it has been impossible. What do you think it is? What qualities does nothing have?
That's a little above your pay grade at the moment.
I don't know. Are we? That's what I'm trying to figure out here. But how do I figure it out? You measure it by its surroundings, by that which does exist, which is what I've been trying to do. I've tried using but honestly, it's not progressing very well.
But does it have anything to do with necroplasmic life forms? Ghosts, in everyday parlance.
Ghosts? No, I don't think so. I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe in them either. Great. What are we talking about? And why? Somewhere underneath those roof beams, I assume.
Strange things may flourish in the dark.
There's this place at the back of the church. A place where all audible vibrations seem to decease. I've named it the Swallow. And the higher you go, the less you record.
The Pillar of Silence? Are you sure it's not just an architectural quirk?
Maybe, but it's oddly close to the physical coordinates of the data loss that led me to this place. I know. No, I don't.
She sounds mildly annoyed by this line of questioning. Her hands typing hundreds of commands into the machine.
Because it's just trial and error, trying to locate the Swallow, the exact point in space. And I don't have a... You know what? It would be really helpful if you could just stop talking and let me work. Great. Thanks. What? I hate it. Maybe I'd have to be on drugs to get it, but to a sober mind it just sounds like uninspired rug whipping. No idea what it has to do with either dancing or music. This is about those speed freaks in the tent, isn't it? I've got some news for you. It's not a nightclub. Take a guess, why don't you? I can't believe they got you so easily. Go have an...
Good luck. I'm not coming in there.
Yes, what is it? The swallow, you mean? Great.
The mother of humanism stands above it. Someone has left an unidentifiable article of clothing on this railing. It smells really bad. It's streaked with dried seagull shit and tangled with pieces of seaweed. A dangling arm suggests that there might be a jacket beneath the crust of filth.
Please tell me you're not taking that with you. It's a guano-encrusted jacket, and you're already carrying around enough as it is.
Police badge on which you see the photo of a man. Some seaweed is stuck to the back.
At least something good came out of all this.
Encased between two durable plastic sheets is a bluish card with lines of information and a watermark in the shape of the street grid of Revachol West. You see a photo, a name, a rank, a document number, the date of issue, and, in the lower right corner, your precinct. The man keeps winking at you with his green-grey eyes. The photo is old, no doubt about that. Good choice. A newer photo would look different. Eight, maybe 10 years. The guy in the picture is rather good looking. He's got a nice haircut and is distinctly lacking in massive sideburns. What do you think? His face is already contorted by the expression, although it looks less grotesque on him than it does on you now. It looks better on him because he isn't in as much pain while producing it as you are now. Although there's already a hint of that pain, certainly. Don't be fooled. The bad times have already begun. The badge in your hand shines as you rotate it, catching light. You see lines of information on it, and a shining watermark.
Harrier, that's long for Harry. So you are Harry. Evrard was half right. Probably not a lot of people know your full name. Whoever told him you're Harry Dubois didn't. It's a wartime name, revolutionary. The kind mothers give their sons during troubled times. like Undying or Boxer or Ironhide. Pleased to make your acquaintance, Harrier Dubois.
He's not going to call you Harrier. He'll keep calling you officer when he's angry with you, and detective when he's not. The badge in your hands shines as you rotate it, catching.
Lieutenant W. Freighter. The lieutenant is a rank above sergeant and below captain. It's the highest rank in the RCM that still does field work. I am a lieutenant. The title of Freighter is added to your rank when you decline a promotion to a higher rank. In your case, captain. You have declined twice, thus you're double Freighter. There are many reasons one would do this. The rank above you in your precinct's décomptage might be taken, or sometimes promoted officers do not want to replace their superiors out of respect. And sometimes they just prefer the type of police work available to their current rank, in your case, lieutenant.
Heavy-duty case-solving machine.
Décomptage is the hierarchical system employed by the Revachol citizens' militia. It means counting down to twos. The lowest rank is junior officer, usually teenagers. Then there are the patrol officers, then sergeants, lieutenants, and then a captain. That's basically it, except for a few kings. Kings like satellite officers and the additional freighter rank I already explained.
The long and short of it is, you're his superior.
You are given the title of satellite officer if your partner is quickly promoted through the ranks and you rise with him. You don't seem to be a satellite. No, I've been putting up with you because despite an unconventional approach, you are doing good police work. It matters more than driving your motor carriage into the sea. And now we've even found your badge.
He trusts you, for now. Try not to spoil it. Such a small yet precious thing. Expensive paper caught between thick plastic, like a fly in amber. It reads.
That's just the serial number. Revachol, Jamrock, Precinct 41, with some numbers thrown in there for good measure. 4 months ago. I'm guessing that's when you were promoted to the rank of Lieutenant W. Freighter. A new badge usually comes with a new rank. You seem to have been doing well then.
The case created a lot of edge you have to take off. The death mark. A lot can happen in 4 months. Especially.
I remember that time! That was a good time! We had a good work-drink balance going! What happened, man? Pump it up!
Yes, it's the designation of your precinct. 41, like mine says 57. The 57th is mostly industrial. It's a tough station to work in. You have all of Jamrock to cover.
It's no wonder you are like you are.
But then again, it's a legendary district, and a hell of a station too. It must be an honor.
And you? Is it an honor to... The badge in your hand shines as you rotate it. As you hold it in your hands, it makes an uncomfortable crunching sound. It's a sordid, filthy tale, not for the weak. Are you sure you can stomach it? It occurs to you that you're not even holding the jacket itself, but why? Why did you think about it? Look at your hands. They're covered in muck. Now you're just flicking that shit everywhere. This is a disaster. You'll never get the smell out. As you hold it in your hands, it makes an... There is no why. As you hold it in your... It's probably... The note is written. There's some tear, an empty cigarette package, and a crumpled kebab wrapper in the trash bin. 2 empty bottles of Tallulah vodka and a can of black potent porter is all he finds.
A tragedy.
He shakes his head with genuine sadness. Whoever tossed it here was a heavy smoker. The brand name reads Red Astra. You see traces of mayonnaise and ketchup on it, as well as a tomato wedge. The wrapper reads Shish Kebab Revachol. A man lies on the boardwalk, his limbs bent and neck turned at an unnatural angle. Right next to him is an empty bottle of spirits. In his cramped hand, a chewing gum wrapper. Half of his body has slipped between the cracked boardwalk, starting with the right leg. The fall has left him broken, contorted like a sad puppet.
Hold on. Lividity is faintly pronounced. Whoever this is has been dead for 2 days. No longer. We need to investigate.
Another dead body. This is your job. Steel yourself. Calm now. Carefully. Just another day. Just another dead body. Breathe. The man has fallen through a crack in the boardwalk and hit his head against the metal bench. Coagulated blood covers his black hair. One of his feet is still dangling through the hole. You have to be quite inebriated to fall that bad. Well over a liter of pure ethanol. 3 bottles of wine or 1.5 of spirits. His expression is dull, like the sea behind him. Drops of water shining on his mustache. His eyes, empty and wide, look frightening in their frozen gaze. He was confused when he died. Confused and alone, most likely. Overcome with the awful surprise of it all. He was just about to head home. The first step back home proved to be his last. He's wearing mud-caked boots, beige trousers, and an old brown leather jacket with a bright blue lining. There are traces of kebab sauce on his chest. You find some sunflower seeds and a rain-soaked library card folded into 2. His jacket feels sodden and heavy under your hand.
Good. We should take a look at that library card after this is done.
There's some dried blood on the metal bench, right where the corpse's head rests. The floorboards are rotten and slippery wet around the hole. An empty bottle lies nearby. A chewing gum wrapper is clutched in his fist. Be very, very careful where you step here. A dried chunk of blood covers the hair at the back of his head. An open wound. It's sticky and cold to your touch. This is where he came out of himself, drop by drop, when he was unconscious. It took 3, maybe 4 minutes.
I don't see any other major wounds, do you? Seems like the head wound was fatal. It's exactly the shape of the bench.
A .75 liter Tallulah vodka with its cap missing. There's hardly anything left inside. It's mid-market spirits with a slight touch of menthol. The man meant to enjoy himself, have a good time.
Tear all around us. I'd prefer if you didn't collect them this time. It's not proper.
True. It feels disrespectful. Grabowski spearmint chewing gum. Green leaves on the cover. The man's mouth is half agape from the terror of the fall. The blackness of death. Stench. You think you see white chewing gum too?
He ate the whole pack, right? It's to cover the smell of alcohol before going home. The worst thing is, I've seen it before. Almost the same scenario, even the chewing gum. It's always the same.
In a ditch off a road below the 881, he thinks. A young father. Then he shakes his head to make the memory stop. They screech under your feet ominously. It's hard to say whether the dead man's weight was the cause of the boardwalk to break. It definitely looks fragile. The entire boardwalk creaks in the wind as you take a step back.
Looks like one of the locals. He'd have to know this spot to come here. You don't just walk over here. But that's just a lazy assumption. What do you think? The woman you met at the book stand? Why do you think it's her husband? The bright blue lining? Well, he's definitely someone's husband. Death by misadventure. He slipped and fell through the boardwalk. A truly unfortunate accident. If it wouldn't have been for that bench, he'd be alive. Oh yes. Some symptoms of acute alcohol poisoning could have definitely played a role here. Severe confusion, respiratory depression, unpredictable behavior. But I think that death arrived through head trauma, not liver failure. What about it? The deceased ate some kebab. It's probably from a nearby place, maybe in the box. They'll seal this place off after the news reaches the coalition officials. I doubt that they have enough resources to actually repair the boardwalk. Not that sealing it off would keep anyone away. All it does is keep the city council's hands clean. It does seem to be a pretty straightforward misadventure, although there's still a question of identifying the body. From where I stand, I can see two options. We either take the case and follow the leads to identify the body on our own, or we report back to the station and leave this for our colleagues to handle. Alright, we should first examine the library card you found. Then we can call the station from my kinema. Let them know we are taking the case.
The library card is folded into two and still slightly wet to the touch. The front side reads, Central Jamrock Public Library Card, issued to Billy Mejean, expires July 53. If lost, please return the card to the library. Dial 005 02 55211 or visit us at Moreau Street, 78, Jamrock. Business hours, 900 to 1800.
Good. We should give them a call from my kinema. See if we can learn anything about Billy Mejean.
Whoever owns this card is an avid reader. You find a list of books written in blue pencil. Radio thriller. Stand a little less between me and the sun. The last one in the list is The Glinton Curve by M. Theobald. A library stamp indicates that the book has been returned. Most of these titles seem to be in the sci-fi genre.
Gendarmerie. You found me.
It feels like a Friday. He seems to be in a good mood tonight. And his shirt is still unbuttoned.
Beautiful. So tell me, are you here to make things right again? Beautiful. I have some good news for you. My Sunday friend is visiting me tonight. I told him about you and he'd like to say hello. Step in. He's already waiting. Yeah, it does feel like the end of the week. Such gentle weather. Even the rain feels nice. That's nice, but I don't have anything to tell you. It's my friend you're looking for, not me.
He takes another drag of his unfiltered cigarette and
Besides, I've got...
he's going to leave you alone again. That's sad.
To the city. It's a beautiful night.
A man on high heels stumbles out of a basement club, music blasting over the entire district. It's chilly, and something flutters in the corner of the lieutenant. It's laughter.
We'll talk. Just not tonight. Take care, all right?
Different, of course. His shirt. His shirt. His shirt. No, I don't know why his shirt is always unbuttoned. Come on, detective, let's go.
Officers of the Revachol Citizens Militia.
You shouldn't be seeing him in an intimate setting. For some reason you feel this man is your superior. Superior, but he's not in the command chain.
My name is Charles Vildrouin, and I am an official with the coalition government. I work for the Institute of Price Stabilité on assignment from Sur-Lac. I heard you talking to my friend outside. Very good.
No, first ask an innocuous personal question to get the interview off on the right foot. Yes, make it clear you're the one setting the terms here. Yeah, let's fuck with him. Who does he think he is? Assisting you?
I got it from the head of the Samaran delegation on my trip to Lomantang. It's made from a special charcoal-colored bamboo. It's an emblem of the formal normalization of our diplomatic relations. That's really all I can tell you about it.
That didn't work at all. What was that? You were supposed to fuck with him. The lieutenant takes out his notebook and nods to you to proceed.
The coalition is only looking out for the price stability. Inflation is a killer, like a heart disease blocking the normal circulation of the economy. It must be controlled. The economy impacts the entire international community, which is why it requires international oversight. Well, I'm renovating it. It is an interesting project. The building used to be a 12-story skyscraper before the cannons took the top 4 stories off. You could say I'm undoing some of the material damage the international community caused when we arrived here. La communauté internationale is what Revacholians colloquially call the coalition. In other words, the nations that stopped the disaster of the revolution. Yes, as I said before, I am a commissioner from Sur-la-Clé working for the Institute of Price Stability. This is one of the main projects of the Moral Intern. It is the most important thing. It's the central goal of any sound monetary policy. Maintaining the price stability is essential to maintaining high levels of economic activity, which is essential for maintaining high levels of employment, which is essential for maintaining the social stability.
Basically, it makes sure the price of bread doesn't change.
Précisément. Too much inflation, bread becomes too expensive. Too much deflation, it becomes too cheap for bakers to produce. That's why the Institute of Price Stability works to keep inflation just below 2%. But not too far below, no. Too below is also bad. Below, but close to 2%. The coalition believes in the importance of informing the public about the benefits of the price stability. Transparency in a sound monetary policy is essential for addressing uncertainty. But oh, I don't have my leaflets on me today. That's too bad. You can always call our information line. Making information available is part of the Moral Intern's commitment to transparency. It's the international organization for moralists, hence Moralist International. The Institute of Price Stability is just one of its many mind babies, as is the coalition.
Doing one's job doesn't automatically make one anyone's bitch. Besides, there are more nefarious powers to work for than the Moral Intern.
But of course. Because moralists believe in a normal, stable world governed by democratic values.
Me? I'm a lieutenant of the RCM.
A very moralist answer.
The lieutenant is practiced in the art of putting on a show for one's superiors.
Martinez? No. Martinez is something else. Revachol is generally difficult. It's led by an interim government, which means it hasn't yet achieved full democracy. But they are working towards it. You're all doing very well here, relatively speaking. Is this option D usually the most reasonable answer? Sounds like you're a moralist indeed, my friend. Welcome. Moralism is all about compromise and achieving the achievable. It's pragmatic, realistic, and level-headed, an ideology for doers. Are you a doer, my friend? It looks to me like you are. Now, enough of this delightful political interlude. Was there anything else you wanted to ask? What's there to say? Sur-la-Clé is a modern, urbanized country that measures very high on the Human Development and Freedom Index. Moreover, it is a great sponsor of less emerged countries. Revachol is only one of its many darlings whose progress it supports and cherishes. Because a great percentage of Revachol's culture hails from Sur-la-Clé. Its language, its people, its cuisine even. Or at least in the downtown La Delta area. Whatever you wish, officer. Ah, my friend. My friend is a good young man. His family immigrated here from Kedra, and life has not been easy for him. Kedra is a candidate member of APIS. But, between you and that it's never going to happen. They entered negotiations in 21, and it's been pending ever since. EPIS is a very special program developed by the Moral Intern to support certain Occidental nations. It began as a unified system of weights and measures, which proved to be a wild success. Nothing but kilograms and centimeters as far as the eye can see. It was such a wild success that we expanded it into an economic union for the processing of steel. Another success. And between you and me, the Moral Intern feels emboldened by this success. Why, it stands for progress and stability, like the Moral Intern as a whole. It's been such a wild, extraordinary success thus far. We are a supranational political alliance. You mean Revachol? No, it's going to have transparent democracy. It's one day going to be a candidate member of EPIS, sure. No, candidate members do become members. Why do we even have the whole system? But we were talking about my friend here, not politics. How did any of us become friends? Bad things happening on the Insulindian Isola? Oil platforms ablaze in the night? Civil wars lasting for years? Finally, the international community is forced to step in. One of the wonders of democracy is that everyone is allowed to have his own opinion. And not just allowed, encouraged even. Have you ever tried debate? Debating. You should consider joining a debating society. But now that I start thinking of it, it was for an improv class anyway. It's this funny theater thing, you know? Very... Sorry. Who? But I told you, officer. He's a bright young man here to pursue. Officer, you have to understand. I can't give you his personal information. He's deeply enmeshed in the study of the fine arts, yes. He's a truly free spirit. He likes all the arts. Perhaps graphic design, printmaking, who knows? The world is... I'm just enjoying the view.
A dead body with...
Listen. The Insulindian Bay. This place used to be a luxury accommodation before the revolution. But the million real view stays. You can't take that away. My friend comes and goes. I'm sure you'll see him around. He's a busy bee. I'm all ears, officer. I'm sorry to say I did, officer. Officer, it's very difficult to describe what I saw that night. It was so surreal to me, like in a play.
What do you mean, like in a play?
It was just so strange. I could barely comprehend what was happening. I was on the balcony when it happened, getting some fresh air. I remember that first they came in, carrying what looked like a body. And then I saw all the surrounding windows go dead, one by one. That's when I understood. I should not be seeing this.
Sounds like the victim was unconscious, or at least incapacitated. Interesting.
I couldn't see their faces well, and there were quite a few of them. But they were very loud and very... Martinez. Let's just say that the laboring classes can get rather expressive with their profanities. I couldn't tell you exactly. Less than 10. Maybe 8. I went back inside.
Yes, back inside. Keep yourself safe from the killing.
Were you able to see anything from inside?
Officer, the yard was pitch black. There was nothing to see, but I could still hear their voices. They were threatening to kill that poor man. All men, I presume. But again, I couldn't see very clearly. Those funny... Oh, officer. I believe they were mostly white, though I believe I saw 2 Areopagites among them. And I am quite certain that one spoke with a Mesk accent. Well, that's the strangest part, officer. Nothing happened. It was oddly quiet for a public lynching. Eventually, their shouts died down, and that was all. There were no gunshots, no celebratory shouts, no anything. You're right, of course. That is what one is supposed to do in such circumstances. I was simply in shock. I'm afraid I don't have anything else to add.
About what time was all this happening, approximately?
All I can say is that it was late. My watch. Yes, now I remember. It was 30 minutes past midnight. No, I didn't see the corpse until the following day. I'm sorry I couldn't be of more assistance. A moment, officer. Do you have everything you need from me? I'm afraid we won't have the chance to speak again once you leave. It's against diplomatic best practices for an official in my position to be discussing murders with local militiamen. And I'm pressed for time. After you leave, I should be leaving as well. Sure, go ahead. It's a
What's this? We're getting reports of normal, reasonable, temperate, political opinions somewhere in Martinez. It's also about that, but it's also more. Perhaps it's the hangover. It's time to become a citizen of the Kingdom of Conscience. That's a pity.
Was there anything else? I'm sorry to say I did, officer.
Easy, detective.
Because I did it? What's the meaning of this? Is your...
He sounds almost mocking.
There is no meaning, sir.
Back off. Now. This man has diplomatic immunity. It serves no good to accuse him of a crime he didn't.
I won't stand for this. What's your name? I'll have your badge. You're doing me no service.
Good God, detect... No, let's go.
Remember that guy, Ace Ulsterberg? The red-headed officer asks. He leans against the doorframe, while the guy who got canned for trying to arrest that diplomat. The bald man squints at, don't know. Here, the female officer, family connections.
I have nothing to say.
Just an ordinary wall. Nothing to see here. This orange machine, you slip your... No. If you...
Equip the pry bar.
This orange machine is dead still. It has a hand-cranked ice cream churner and an electric freezer. The ice around it. A few bricks have fallen off, revealing a...
Seems like an old bunker.
Tiles on the cube are still like a smooth draw. The speaker comes.
Good evening. Please repeat. Is this good? Please, good. I've unlocked.
Really? She just used the same password? Maybe those radio computer guys aren't that paranoid after all.
Fortress accident. Is there anything else? Thank.
Tiles on the cube are still smoldering. With a quiet determination, the printer starts printing. A piece of paper unfolding like a handheld fan. A black crisscross of letters covers its surface. It's a project report written by the lead producer, Andrew, and the first few pages give an overview of the capital and workforce, while the rest of it seems to be a production schedule in its short time of existence. For the first tranche of seed find, eventually, the damage 400,000 real. You're my yo. Let's just say it was a real adventure, for the fortress accident employed 18 people, and a single overburdened producer who developed a habit of popping pyrrolidon in the basement. But on the other hand, their obligations were piling up at an inhumane rate, a rate that could... The production schedule depicts their glorious... It was impossible not to fail. The project, they tried to make a 4 million real game. They thought they could bridge the gap. They couldn't. No, you couldn't have. Definitely not. Not a chance. Even then, success remained within an ever-narrowing margin of possibility that, despite everything, never entirely disappeared. That is, until they discovered the Valley of the Heads. At the 11th hour, the lead designer, Jimsk-born Sulisław Jalisa, decided that what Wirral Untethered needed was this place was to be the Valley of the Heads, where the heads of all the headless constructs could be found. The player would have been able to choose a head for their headless party member, and each head would have been voiced. The world had never seen their kind before, and might never again. So many. The last count, there were approximately 10,000 heads for 10,000 headless men, all of which could be endlessly recombined. Do you really want to know? There seems to be a calculation here, but it may take a while. The lieutenant taps his foot, impatient. He's dying for a cigarette. Come to think of it, you are. What if you broke the radio computer? What if it's never going to stop? Well, yeah, that and the catastrophic data loss. On the nature of the data loss, there's ominously little information in the production log. It comes at the very end where what is clear is that one day an unidentified numeric anomaly occurred on the East Insulindian Lintel front, just as the Wirral Untethered project was being compiled that day. When the project was returned, it was completely blank. The team spent weeks on the phone with Lintel, the service provider, but despite their diagnostics, they could never produce a satisfactory explanation or pay for the loss. Always read the terms of... Mysteriously enough, it seems that the off-site copy happened to be on-site when the It was the lead programmer's responsibility to oversee weekly maintenance of the off-site copy and, well, keep it off-site. S. Lukanen Kilda, the lead programmer of Fortress Accident. The off-site copy was on-site because there was no off-site anymore. I didn't have a home anymore, so I started keeping it in the basement in the ice bear refrigerator near where I went to sleep. It was perfectly safe there. The temperature conditions were optimal. Her former colleagues would agree with you. The production schedule ends with a few random notes that seem to be added sometime later. 4 months later, by an unknown author. I am the only one left, and it's gotten rather damp here. A few other businesses have gone under, too. Still haven't got an answer from Lintel about what happened. All I could get were the physical coordinates of the error on the East Insulindian front on that day. Since the computation happened, I have compared the coordinates to a map of Revachol West. Turns out it's only 800... Sandbrun 1147. That's what the street sign next to the church said. Tiles on the cube are still smoldering, casting the framework. The filament slides out of its glowing.
Yes? Yes?
Look at you. It's because you're a failure. They sent you to Slight, Precinct 57. Just think about it for a second. You're a raging alcoholic who showed up 3 days late and argues with his necktie. You weren't sent here to win.
I've considered it. It would be immensely ugly of them, not to mention unprofessional, but I also think it's somewhat unlikely. I checked the records. This jurisdiction dispute, who polices Martinez, reaches back to the 30s. It's as old as my station. And all this time we can't decide who gets Martinez? I think, yes, both stations would prefer a win. I am the finest of nothing. Safe? No. But you're old. You've made it this far. Something has brought you through. We've only just started working together, so I don't know what it is yet. But it's there. So no, I don't think they sent you as a joke. And even if they did, they are in for a surprise.
Oh, it's you again. Are you looking for a die? Oh, it's you again. Are you looking for... I'm sorry. I'm a bit overloaded just now, so I can only produce one die per customer.
The bear's eyes are dead and empty. You see a set of tire tracks in the brown slush that covers the plaza mosaic. Cop habit. This isn't case-related, you think. Hard to say. You see a set of tire tracks in the brown slush that covers the plaza mosaic. The tire tracks were left here by an unknown event that took place some days ago. It's a message, written in the language of burnt rubber. Some of that rubber stuck to the tiles right in front of the and then accelerated straight into the fence, left a hole big enough for the Franco-Nigerian cavalry. According to the cafeteria manager, the driver proceeded to back out of the yard before heading south. Must have been in a hurry.
No wonder the cafeteria manager seemed frustrated when he was... Well, You did provide us with a very convenient access point to the crime scene.
Kuno's like Kuno's dad? Kuno doesn't... Yeah? The kingdom of Kuno... Yeah, whatever. Kuno doesn't... The fuck do you... Good call, Pigmeister. The fuck about it? Your test... Get lost, Kuno...
I'll die before I squeal, pig.
The trash containers. The trash container. The smell of rotten food rises to greet you. You see soggy cartons, dirty rags, and organic waste. There's nothing more of interest, not much to see here. You see, you've done this before. The movements are recorded in your elbows, the methodology in your fingers. No, searching for evidence in the trash. A box falls into pieces in your hands. Batiste Soleil cereal. There are plastic pasta packages below, and turbo noodles. Nothing of note, however. The container sounds a muffled gong. You see, the door is closed.
Can I help you?
What is this thing? What, the interior decorating kind? You know, I'm sorry. This is actually... I can fix it to the plaque and have a new bird in the establishment, I guess?
People just don't know how to accept a gift.
I feel good about our work here today. It's all about the little things, like bringing people random stuffed animals.
Got the 20 real?
Then why are you wasting...
Just an ordinary wall. Nothing to see here. Just an ordinary wall. Nothing to see here. You have no clue. So many walls all over Mod.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? Of course. Excuse my hesitation before.
For about half a minute, in silence.
It was taken with a trigette not long ago. This is the man's upper body. There were no more markings on his hands or legs.
Her mouth is relaxed. The accordion lines near her mouth vanish. The pearls of her eyes move slowly on the... She has no excess of emotions for this cadaver. Has she seen dead...
Sorry. I was trying to see if I can read the web of interdependencies, but I can't. But that's how you read this story. The points themselves don't have letters, numbers, anything. Close. Port cities. This is an Oronese map of the waterways. A sailor's tattoo worn by wayfarers of the Dolorian century, over 300 years ago. The sailor's soul would use it to fly back home if they should die abroad. This is a sort of contraption.
Where is he now?
That is precisely what the sailors feared when they drew these maps. A fear of drowning within one's own corpse. Quite a few. Vredefort, the Oronese capital, traditionally stands on the right shoulder. He started...
What next?
Then he made his way to the Pretto Grande, through what I think must be the Revachol. Those are the two constants. Vredefort on the shoulder, and Revachol in the heart.
You said you can't read it.
I can't. This man was no sailor. And these are no...
Somewhere in an office lit by a single green desk lamp, Captain Ptolemaeus Price, 58, bald and bespectacled, is writing in Martinez looking into Krenel. He writes in one. Then the man puts down his pen and...
That makes sense to me. We have no more use for a map of his platoon members? The other contractors?
It could go this or the other way. Maybe if you're tactful. Challenge accepted. I say we do it.
Do what you have to do, Detective. I don't think deciphering that tattoo should...
We will be careful, ma'am.
Is there anything else I can help you with? More lessons in basic reality? My favorite part of the day. Go ahead, ask me anything. Glad to have been of assistance. By love, you did. Pleased to meet you, Lieutenant W. Freighter Dubois. I am glad to see a man of high qualification. What can I help you with, Lieutenant Freighter? More lessons in... Glad to have been of assistance. Of course. Anything to help. I am sorry to have been the bearer of bad news. If there...
She's not even asking you anything. It's so easy to just say.
Of course, Detective. You can always drop by. What would you like to know? Good. What we do.
She nods.
Of course. Of course.
Don't tell her you've met Everard right away. There's time. The surrounding blaze of the electric lights makes the white-on-blue police do something important. Something, even at a standstill, the unibody Caprice Canate. Someone has waxed it recently.
Mm-hmm. You want to take a closer look? 130.
I reckon that's a 7-liter V12 there.
7.2. Supercharged.
Saying these words brings him immense joy.
Yes. An extraordinary machine.
It's nice and all, but why so much? It's a bit girly right now. Fit it with some proper off-road components.
Sorry, I'm...
Lingo it up.
No.
Use bigger words.
Porno. That's short for pornography. That's a negative on the porno.
Body betrays your degenerate.
Yeah, Measurehead.
Your body does not betray your degeneracy. Don't say anything. Size him up first.
Are you admiring? It must be frightening to stand in the shadow of this racial pinnacle. Be calm, Sandwich. You are not in danger. Because you are not a threat to me. What is this androgynous display of sexual maturity?
Merely standing up makes you sweat profusely.
Stop it! You are embarrassed. This display of weakness may appeal to older women with a stronger...
Jean-Luc, his body is betraying his degeneracy pretty hard. Maybe you...
Your
body, don't say anything.
What is...
Merely standing up.
Stop it! This display...
Jean-Luc, his body is betraying his degeneracy.
That is precisely the negligence that has led... You reek of it. An invisible sword of Al-Ghul emerges from your throat. Yes, Al-Ghul is an ancient Ilmaran poison. A parasitic fungus that has correct my small skull servant. No, you don't. You need to get another drink. Occidental.
Show him the ham still got it.
Willingly calling yourself a ham sandwich. How you gave the world eugenics, electricity, and power. You dominate. You will be super.
It is, baby, yeah. You know it.
Enough with this begging. Bring your troops to the Simonine Islands, and to boot the walls will be lined with bottles of Al-Ghul, your beloved beverage. Inside, we will store the old. Racists are generally not very good examples. I am not like them. I am craniometric perfection.
True, that is a noble cranium. But you got a hard noggin yourself.
You exhibit forward projection of the jaw. Indicative it is impossible to see any more of your bone structure. This leads me to conclude you are not a police officer. You are a common. Your racial heritage is uninteresting. It is the same.
He's right there. It's almost impossible to get it on unless you're both drunk. It's too scary when he does not so much as glance at the
Stop showing me your pathetic.
Does he strike you as the kind of man who puts mugs into trash?
I am not the first line of defense. I am the last. The hardy manlets are on the pay of the company. I answer to the union a lot. Now leave me. Don't be vulgar. White or not has got little to do.
There must be some friction there. He's keeping it well hidden, however.
Mr. Claire is a man of... Also, to serve is noble. It takes discipline. Your petulant individualism has only contributed to your race failure. It jam. Individualism. You have gotten these offshoots of the Seminese people invented. I am not surprised you enjoy it so much. This has happened to many of the South Island. We are the future. I am a descendant. The narrow streets of Ulembuir are No.
He would be appreciative if you did not further chase this line of inquiry in front of the women.
I'm from Couronne. And no, it is not just... You have heard enough about our phylogenetic secrets for today.
I think this racist is better than the last. But the next racist will be the really good one. There always is.
Race is reality. Your race descent has only worse.
Ask what kind of races there are first. Classification is core to this.
Do you?
The lieutenant looks toward the harbor's electronic door.
You are obviously a liberal, Sayolite. A polyculturalist. I can see it from you. There are 3 categories of race. Type A, the heroic races. Type B, this. I knew you would go straight for the vile cauldron. Everyone does.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise.
Yes, it would seem nonsensical.
Those are the simony. A receding genetic pool has led the Maun on reprehend. You know them by the names of their name. The Maun are proof that you the Vespertines and Messenians of Vesperan, the other large Mondial civilizations, overproduction as proven by the Maun and the Mesk, the indigenous people of this. The Areopagites are the Areopagites. The latter is perfected and adapting together.
Nature was not capable of more.
People are the unheroic races. To an untrained eye, the Koiko appear white and pinkish. Like pinkness is the Koiko, the countless micronational Revacholians, halfway between Tips CF are a museum of failed chimeric experiments and tragic math. Lesser races like the Mosquito. The Mosquito is born sterile. Then there is the Simino Koiki. The Koiko as this with.
There is a strange sadness in his tone, a less than heroic melancholy this time.
The heart that pumps the hemoglobin is mysterious, and so is its.
He does not seem angry, nor does the woman look affected. She just twirls her head.
You understand nothing. To solve the great race enigma, you have to first ask yourself what you need to internalize what you have heard here today. I cannot possibly imagine what else we have. There is nothing I cannot possibly imagine. The unpromised, so it was. You surmounted the harbor wall in a display of athletic prowess.
You're so.
But while I am gone, someone must stand.
That would mean you're openly showing the people that you're taking the Union's side.
Yes, that is precisely what it means, homunculus.
This is the uncomfortable result of not.
Listen to your little friend, babe. See that they stay here the whole time.
The woman's gaze.
So, you guys are like cops or something? Cool. I like men with guns and power.
You hear that? That sound.
Yeah, Jean-Luc must be really tearing it up over there. I wish I could see. Don't worry. Physical stuff like this is really. It's late outside, isn't it? You guys must really like doing what you do to be out so late.
The corpse has been removed from the tree. Stand what you had to do.
The already familiar cold touch of plastic. The machine swallows your coin and seems to be waiting for you. Your fingers run over the dial. Calling. Still call.
Video Revachol, 24-hour video rental. You're in Video Revachol is a 24-hour video rental. Sir, I don't know. It's a video rental. Maybe no. Maybe you called to extend your rental period? Do you need to extend your rental? Let me fire up the machine. Here we are. You haven't rented anything in 5 years, but you still have a copy of Blue Ocean Hell from November 4th. It's not an easy watch. After the death of... No wonder no one's been missing it. Still Still, it would be great if you could...
On the corner of Voyager and Main, a large neon sign hangs, tiny hills. Suddenly, you feel like you don't want to hear about video rentals anymore. You don't want to hear about it.
That's enough for you today. Let's conclude.
The file cabinet, hundreds of, and the same. You already remember, Leo. All items on the drawer. Slide. You're back before the cargo container. Its drawer has not lessened.
Oh, hey, mister. I knew you'd be back to talk with old Leo here. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Sure, mister. Absolutely. I'm always... Oh, I'm just... Sure, mister. Oh, we're on a strike.
So, no...
Not, but Titus and his boys got in... Like what, mister?
This is the...
You missed a good show before.
He fucked the tree up! Fucked it good! It was porno!
What is this shit?
The huge kipt made him his bottom kipt, Kuno!
Kuno doesn't...
The corpse lies on the ground among the remains of an absolutely demolished pinewood branch. It's gently laid on one side.
Mr. Measurehead has done a good job. Nothing is too broken or compromised. The victim is ready for a field autopsy. Yes. 1. Investigation of the scene. 2. Initial examination of the victim. 3. Field autopsy. 4. Transportation of the body to the...
The fuck are they on about?
Cop's gonna cut his shit up!
No, you and I are detectives. The honorary rank of detective signifies our ability to handle the entire... An honor and a burden attached to your rank once you've proven yourself able. You are. Your station would not have assigned you on this case if you... It's either this, or we complete the initial interviews. We already met Evrard, but didn't quite get his interview done. For that, we would have to ask him about the lynching. Or we could call it a day. It's incredibly late.
The lieutenant adjusts his glasses and takes a deep breath.
Come on, officer. You know what a field autopsy is? Unfortunately, no. They are better than nothing. Tell you what, I perform the anatomical side of things while you will take notes. That's right.
You knew it because you inspected your ledger. The lieutenant is relieved you know the protocol. The dead man stares in silence as you crack open the ledger. The bright red paper is covered in box. Above those, an 11-field info form needs filling out first. It begins with,
That's you.
The corpse is indifferent to your scribblings, just lies there. The next box says,
KK57-08. Next, we've heard the nom de guerre, Lely. It's better than... What's next? NA. Roughly 50.
The corpse looks ageless, like meat on a hook.
Mondial.
The pudgy mess of curdled meat looks neither.
Fucky!
Male.
Pigs can have sex!
Nor does he look male, with his pregnant belly.
We're still going with March 4th. 5th. What else? 9. Body identified by...
KK57-05.
None. At least...
A strange word. Treatment.
Interfering with the body's position or wounds
How did you not know that? Aren't you a cop? You're leaving a weak impression here. Say something sure-handed. A silent nod. Your central nervous system recognizes this gesture. It's the stations of the breath. Somewhere in Jamrock North, a small wood shed behind Rosencrantz Row. Lieutenant Nick elsewhere yet, an obese female sits in a wicker chair, her silhouette bull-like against the window. Outside, the building is tall, 7 stories wind-wrapped in solitude. Most of the apartments, and so, all across Jamrock, Coal City.
We should start the post-mortem.
The corpse cannot feel Kim's hand on his chest. It no longer meaningfully interacts with its surroundings. A thicket of boxes and lists.
Clothes. The deceased wears armored boots and white briefs. Babrodine, yes. Inexpensive.
The disappointment is palpable. The red-haired thing was expecting something more.
The rest of the clothes have been removed post-mortem by scavengers in order to get to the victim's ceramic armor.
Patience. After the autopsy, before the body is taken away, there will be a window of opportunity. After the lieutenant has gone to sleep.
Tattoos. The upper torso is covered in a single... The assistant has a collar for... The deceased has a cargo lashing belt around his neck. Well-nourished, athletically built, measuring 1.8 meters.
The spine is bent more than the lieutenant compensated for. This Buster's actual height.
Of course, I undercompensated. Body hair is light brown. Distribution is consistent with age. The deceased had male pattern baldness. Hair is combed back.
His hair feels wet, soaked with rain, cold to touch. Not the stench is suffocating. There's brilliantine in there. He's combed his hair back with oil.
Lividity is consistent with hanging.
Fucking low velocity? You think Kuno doesn't know what you're talking shit?
In addition, there are bite marks on the face, scalp, and chest, consistent with predation. Ligature mark. The steel wiring. There's too much of it. We need to remove the bells.
You got just the right tool for that. The hanged man lets out a joyous little bubble of rot.
Always good to think ahead. Now, we need to cut the belt to see the ligature mark below.
See? My pig is gonna...
No, he ain't. Your pig's a boring fuck.
After some deliberation, you sink the cutters into the knot tying the belt together. Snap. The knot is slashed. Another cut and the belt...
The rope rises to a point, leaving a gap in the ligature mark. The suspension point is in the back of the neck.
As it ought to. This is where its grip on the curdled meat is.
Hemorrhaging is observed on the skin, above and below the ligature mark. The mark is well pronounced, consistent with a drop. Chest is intact, normal contour, abdomen.
No! I fucking...
This is clearly what they've been waiting for.
Genitalia is male and unremarkable. No evidence of injury.
The dead man's penis is average-sized.
Ah yes, your hunch before. We can have a semen analysis requested from processing, if that's what you meant. Just write down that we request...
The corpse with his pants down does not have an opinion on the subject.
Back is symmetrical and intact. Upper and lower extremities are intact, but...
Bullets have bitten little pieces out of him. It must have been excruciating.
In addition, I see smaller, residual scars, too numerous to count, covering about 30%. We have a real museum. Last item, hands.
His flesh is cold.
Pleased to meet you. Where are you from and what's your name? I'm only fucking with you. I know where you're from. From Coppadoge. You get me, Kobo. I feel like you were once, for tenderness, and we should do this more often.
Hands are clean. No sign of injury from struggling. I was. Maybe I'm just not seeing them.
Working so close to the fumes coming from the corpse.
Ooh. That's all for the external. Well done. What? Central nervous system. I have nothing.
You don't even have a joke.
Musculoskeletal. Purge fluid is coming from the mouth. Not injury related.
With his eyes almost closed, the lieutenant puts his hand on the dead man's throat.
Yeah, Jack!
The hyoid bone is fractured. The rest of the musculoskeletal respiratory system.
He's really doing it. The dead man's teeth cut into his...
Oral cavity shows no lesions. The victim has received dental implants, possibly after a combat wound.
From here, it looks as though the clown-faced man is screaming. The tendons of his... No scream. No sigh of relief rises from the darkness inside. No, you don't. You can keep it in. You can keep anything in. You managed to suppress the contractions trying to enter your stomach.
There are ancient mysteries down there, Cope.
Hemorrhaging present in mucus. Hepatobiliary, NA. Are you a hepatobiliary expert? Neither am I. That's it. Same for toxicology and unless you have untapped reservoirs of knowledge there. We already have one test as per regulation.
Pigs requested semen.
I'm not even interested in these boring mulkus anymore. I haven't sucked him off or anything.
At a request, then, we'll know if drugs or poisons remain in his blood. At this stage, cardiovascular, the body gastrointestinal, digested semi-solid food in stomach, voila. What's next on the list? Let's see. We have bite marks, contusions on the head and chest, and a ligature mark encircling the neck. Oh, so we inflicted them? You mean the spin-stabilized munition from a Kill A9? That was not a team effort. I just missed my shot. Also, let's not mention it. Muddies the water. Be pedantic if you like, it doesn't matter. No one else is going to investigate.
See?
Why don't you
Now, injuries. Head, chest and scalp bite mark injuries. Predation by bird. And your opinion, officer? Agreed. Next injury? So, the scalp bleeds from a post-mortem head injury. A stone. The injury does not... has confessed to causing it.
The lieutenant's admission has caused great gratitude in Kuno. His coagulated blood sticks to his scalp and chest. Where...
Right. Next. A dark red abraded ligature mark encircling the... I see hemorrhaging on the skin, above and below the ligature mark.
Below the note, 2 customary boxes wait to be ticked. What was that about no chlorine around the neck? You'd be chlorine for your life. He is deep in thought. A column of cold air encircles you, rising slowly upward in the shape of a small green enclosure in the middle of a corral of tenements. Higher yet, coalition airships guard over the 21 cordons of the zone of control. The air is crisp.
You will.
Why do you say that? Okay. Why don't you think it was fatal? Honestly, I'm not sure there weren't marks on his wrists. That part got blurry for me. Let's wrap this up. I pronounce this field autopsy over. It was an irregular field autopsy. We did not establish cause of death, which is supposed to be the... We requested a test to be run on the genitals. That was the règle. We were thorough with the list of injuries too. We described them all in detail. What is there to...
Oh yeah, well done, Master Detective. Maybe a drink is in order?
Now, you see, that worries me. You will die if you drink. You know that, don't you?
Please get yourself together. The lieutenant from Precinct 57.
I need a copy of that autopsy form. Then I will drive him to for processing.
He's thinking, did I miss something? The lieutenant adjusts his glasses and takes a deep breath.
Shoot, Looney Rooney. Oh yes, Kobo mi Lobo. In the gift horse's mouth. Tracks just a small gulp away. My beloved Kobo. A small gulp away. Come back later, Kobo. Amuse yourself with my frank manners and my memento mori features. If possible, also.
Your arms reach out and your eyes close, as if by their own volition. It's dark all around. You feel cold, slippery flesh, first with your... His face, his cheeks, his nose, his fat, swollen lips. Like a spider, your hand crawls. They are swollen shut. You need to really push. Only the little one fits. The flesh changes.
The fuck is he doing?
The thing you're looking for, it's not there. Crawl out, spider. The oral cavity is cold and moist. A ball like you're on the right track. The tongue moves freely in the cavity. The mucus of the mouth is slippery, delicate to touch. Can you feel it? You're so close. A vision of black and dark red death, pried open by your naked hands and studded with teeth. Looks like he's laughing. You see a hole, barely visible to the human eye. It is swollen shut, almost vanished. A black trickle of liquid runs into his throat from the wound. Your index fits right in there. A tight tunnel of flesh opens up. Tissue damage.
The fuck is happening?
Ah, shit, see?
The basal ganglia feels clumpy. What entered here has torn up. Your fingers slide into the remains of his limbic system. There is no resistance. The ululations of the limbic system have ended. All is quiet. The lieutenant answers with the sound of his pen on paper.
Fucking cavity, see?
Quivering with awe. Your fingers are all the way in now, reaching toward the inside of his skull. The cavity goes further, but all the muscles in your body harden. Time to enter him. Your fingers reach toward his skull. His cerebral cortex feels like jelly. Cold jelly. Strange fluid streams down your wrist. Sharp, serrated material. The pain is barely noticeable under the adrenaline rush.
Can you get to it?
There's a tiny crack. A protrusion in the cranium.
We have the makings of a very small exit wound here.
Forget about the fucking exit wound, Beano.
Her voice is absolutely sizzling with excitement. You pick the object between your index and middle finger. Feels sharp, like metal. You press your teeth together. Your jaw is clenched. All you need to do is just... The inside of the head feels cold and smooth, like a glove. Sweat dripping down your brow. Careful not to lose the prize between your fingers. With a plop, your hand emerges from the mouth, covered in blood up to the wrist. Between your fingers, a small flower. A blossom made of lead.
Fucking beautiful.
A bullet.
The bullet falls in the bag, leaving a smattering of blood on the plastic. He raises the bag under his eyes and says,
A non-calibre. Rifle. Some kind of brittle alloy. Fractured on impact. Of course, you've earned it. We need to add an item to the injury list. Injury number 4. Oval entry wound with an abrasion color. Soft palate, back of mouth. High velocity. Temporary cavity in brain tissue. Small exit wound on the occiput. How does that sound? Opinion, fatal injury. And one last thing. We can now fill in injury number 3. Ligament mark. Opinion, non-fatal. Post-mortem. Treatment. As I said, treatment is an attempt to manipulate the body after death. This injury here. Yes, and the belt around his neck, the hanging, even dragging him to the yard. All of it was done after this man was already dead. I have had my doubts for a while now, since I saw there were no signs of struggle on his hands, and no claw marks on his neck. There have been other signs too, small things. We were right not to assign hanging as cause of death, as the perpetrators expected we would. No such luck for them.
We didn't fall for it, he thinks. There's pride in there.
That's for us to find out. But this, it will make finding them just a little easier. To hide something. The real killer? The real motivation? What really happened here? Oh, you really do. I am glad to hear you say that. Your room in the Whirling in Rags should come with a bathroom. Be sure to make use of it in the evening. Yes, we should take a closer look at it. I am certain it has more to tell us.
This little thing could reveal much about the weapon that shot it.
We bag the corpse and carry him to the holding pen of my kinema. I can transport him to processing myself, but I will be gone for the rest of the day. Work on the case. Tend to personal matters. Try not to do anything too dangerous. An officer needs... I'll leave that choice to you. And one more thing. Great.
The word lingers in the air of the yard. Far away, dogs are barking. Detective.
After you bag the corpse, Lieutenant Kitsuragi will leave the party until tomorrow morning. You can do side tasks and even the main case, but it might be more difficult. Plan his exit accordingly.
I thought we decided to leave it to processing.
Damn it. This is turning into some sort of mega puzzle.
I thought we decided...
Damn it. This is turning... The bullet is safely sealed away in a plastic bag bearing the RC. Beside his orderly handwriting, the bullet looks especially sad, like a tiny, shriveled head of cauliflower.
What? Well, if I was the bullet, which I'm not, I would say, find the weapon that shot me. If we find who owns it, we will have likely found who used it. Possibly. In conclusion, the more we know about this bullet of yours, the better.
The squashed bullet has some sharp edges where the jacket has split open. The jacket of the bullet is made of a yellowish metal. It has blossomed out to reveal a dark grey core. The base of the bullet is close to 5 millimeters in diameter. You can just about make out a few striations near the base of the bullet. Little hairlines, linear. It feels standard. It's quite destroyed. Some of the fragments are still lodged in the wound.
What can you say about the bullet so far? A jacketed bullet. Okay. It would have been shot from a military-grade breech-loading rifle, not from a muzzleloader like those typically found on the streets of Martinez. Even the RCM uses ordinary unjacketed conical bullets. This is strange. Very strange.
Something tells you that won't be any time soon. This'll have to be one of those epic tasks that's open for a while. A rifle, revolutionary period. Your bullet looks to be an old 4.46 millimeter from the surplus left over from the turn of the century. Probably an antique or a retrofitted antique. The 4.46 caliber was widely used with the Belma Grave rifle, a Revacholi. Incidentally, you have just such a rifle with you. The dusty old thing you found hidden in the basement below the commercial area. It's unusable, sadly. If it were, the bullet would probably fit the chamber. No, but Zeliger, a major firearm manufacturer, ended up with a surplus after the war. So there are still a lot of these old military rifles floating around, usually broken. The quality was appalling. Antiques enthusiasts, guerrilla fighters in distant countries, a few lucky jamrock bangers. You're looking for the same thing you found in that hidden weapons cache, only in working order.
What are you thinking? Bullet? Okay. And? An antique. That makes sense. There can't be many breech-loading rifles floating around in Martinez, or anywhere in Ravachol, really. I have to hand it to the monarchs. It's quite admirable that they took the advice of criminologists last century and banned the use of breech-loaders in peacetime. Some new RCM recruits get impatient with their muzzleloaders once they've trained with military-grade weapons, but they realize it's worth it in the end. Imagine if everyone, cops, citizens, had access to firearms that could shoot multiple rounds without pausing to read. But back to the investigation. Mysterious. Okay. Either way, we'll know when we find the gun.
An old monument stands in the middle. An old monument stands in the middle of the traffic. The more you ask yourself, the less you know. An old monument stands in the middle. The more you ask yourself, the less you know. One thing is for certain though, your brain damaged. It's serious and permanent. The woman is still hunched.
Huh?